The Cincinnati Bengals are the worst in the NFL. Worse than the Cowboys. They're allowing the 32nd most yards in the entire NFL.
They're the worst in scoring defense.
The Cincinnati Bengals fielded a defense that graded out as statistically the worst unit in NFL history by DVOA through 11 weeks of last season. That is not a hot take from a podcast. That is the measurement, and it came from a roster that opened the year being discussed as an AFC contender. They finished 6-11, third in the AFC North, missed the playoffs for a third consecutive year, and then watched the best pass rusher in franchise history sign with Baltimore. Here's the turn. Every Bengals video you have watched this August has been about rookies and depth charts and who takes the field against Detroit. Those are fine questions, and the people asking them are doing good work. They are also the small ones. The actual story of this team is arithmetic, and almost nobody is doing that math out loud. Cincinnati did not have a bad roster last year. Cincinnati had a roster with one catastrophic hole in it and a quarterback who could not stay upright long enough to cover for that hole. Both of those things got addressed this offseason. Only one of them got fixed. Cincinnati spent what Bengals.com described as a $160 million overhaul of one position group. They traded a top 10 draft pick for a nose tackle.
It's been very welcoming. Everybody here has helped me fit in, from OB, from Ted, from the coaches, from BJ to.
They handed a second-round pick to an edge rusher who had never started a full college season until he was 22 years old. There is a rookie in this class who was voted the best defensive player in the Southeastern Conference.
Gonna make it mine now, so like I said, it's a blessing to be here, and 5-5, let's do it.
And the front office got him without spending a first-rounder. There is a trade that cost Cincinnati its entire first round. And there is a man in a purple jersey right now who knows this offense better than any defender in football. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bengals and all the NFL content. Let me start with the record, because the record lies here, and it lies in a very specific direction. 6-11 reads like a bad football team, and a lot of national preview content has treated it that way. Cincinnati was not a bad football team for the entire season. It was two different teams stapled together across 17 games, and the seam between them is easy to find if you look at the quarterback column. Once you find it, the offseason spending stops looking desperate and starts looking targeted. Joe Burrow started 8 games last year. In those 8 games, Cincinnati went 5-3. In the 9 games he missed as the starter, they went 1-8. Run that first number across a full 17-game schedule, and a 5-3 pace produces roughly 11 wins. That is not a playoff bubble team. That is a division favorite. The gap between 6 wins and 11 wins in that arithmetic is not coaching, and it is not scheme. It is one player's availability, which is the single most uncomfortable sentence anyone in Cincinnati has had to say out loud for 3 straight seasons now.
And it's like, what do you do the rest of the day? Because you're in the football mindset, but then you don't really have much going.
Yeah, it was nice. Again, he was atoning for a drop earlier in the red zone. He knew it. Again, anytime we're watching somebody, I'll just leave that question for the head coach, but we were just watching him from a health standpoint.
Now, let me be fair, because that arithmetic hides 3 real problems. Problem 1, the defense allowed 28.9 points per game and ranked 30th in the league. Problem 2, Cincinnati finished 31st in total yards allowed and dead last in yards allowed per play. Problem 3, that same defense generated pressure at a rate that ranked 22nd in sacks, and it did so while its highest-paid defender missed 10 games. The Burrow math is real. So is the fact that the year before, with Burrow healthy and playing at an MVP level, this team still missed the postseason because the defense surrendered 25.5 points per game. The season had a shape, and the shape starts in Week 2 against Jacksonville. Cincinnati won that game by a score of 31-27. Jamar Chase caught 14 passes for 165 yards and a touchdown, and the offense looked like the version everyone expected in August. It should have been the launch point of the season. Instead, Joe Burrow suffered turf toe in that same win, underwent surgery, and did not start another game for more than 2 months. 1 win, 1 injury, and the entire year bent around it.
Required, but when we get into this grade 3 area, as is the case with Burrow here, that's when the thing is fully torn through, and that's where surgery becomes indicated.
By early October, the Bengals sat at 2-3 and had lost 3 straight. The front office traded a 5th-round pick to Cleveland for Joe Flacco and a 6th, which is an aggressive move for a team that supposedly writes off lost seasons. Flacco kept them upright. In Week 7, they beat Pittsburgh 33-31, with Chase and T. Higgins combining for 33 targets in a single afternoon. Then the losses stacked up anyway, because the defense could not get anyone off the field. The real inflection came after the bye. From Week 10 forward, Al Golden's unit played more man coverage, blitzed more often, and asked its safeties and linebackers to do more. The defensive DVOA ranking climbed from 32nd to 13th over that stretch. Cincinnati still finished 30th overall for the season, because you cannot outrun 9 weeks of historically bad football in 8 weeks of good football. But the tape from November and December is the reason this front office spent the way it spent. Let me talk about what left, because this is the section most Bengals previews skip entirely. Trey Hendrickson is a Baltimore Raven now. He signed a 4-year contract worth $112 million, with $60 million guaranteed and a maximum value of $120 million through sack incentives, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Baltimore pivoted to him within hours of a trade for Max Crosby collapsing over a failed physical.
They can take Max Crosby back, his contract back, and my understanding that is exactly what is going to happen.
Cincinnati did not lose him to a bidding war, it fought and lost. Cincinnati lost him to a contract standoff it chose not to end. Grade that departure honestly, and it is a real loss, not a wash. Since 2021, Hendrickson ranked 2nd in the NFL in pressure rate at 13.2% and 4th in the entire league with 61 total sacks. He posted 17.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons in 2023 and 2024 and led the league in the second one. He is also 31 years old, coming off core muscle surgery in December, and he was limited to 7 games last season. Cincinnati let him walk after refusing him a long-term extension across 2 separate standoffs. He is not the only subtraction. Joseph Osai is gone from the edge rotation. Logan Wilson announced his retirement on March 18th, which removed a starting linebacker and a defensive signal caller from a room that was already thin. Add it up, and the Bengals lost their best rusher, a rotational edge, and a veteran linebacker in one offseason. The counter-argument is that Hendrickson missed 10 games and the defense still improved down the stretch without him. That argument is real. It is also the kind of argument teams make right before they find out how much one player was hiding. So Cincinnati went shopping, and the shopping list explains everything about how this front office sees its window. Less than a week before the draft, the Bengals traded the 10th overall pick to the New York Giants for Dexter Lawrence II, then immediately signed him to a contract extension. He is a 3-time Pro Bowler with 30.5 career sacks who has faced 1,103 double teams on his pass rushes over the past 5 seasons, which is the only quadruple-digit figure in the league. The reason that matters is not the sack total. Listen to how Zach Taylor described it.
Really good players who will play off some of these high-tier players we got. So I'm really excited about the collection of talent that we've got on our team.
Pocket push-up-the-middle collapses a quarterback's escape route because a passer who steps up into pressure has nowhere left to go, and the edge rushers arrive on a clean track. Cincinnati did not have that player last year. Now it has him next to B.J. Hill, alongside Jonathan Allen, who signed a 2-year deal in March and whose 45.5 career sacks rank 8th among all defensive tackles since he entered the league in 2017. On the edge, Boye Mafe arrived from Seattle on a 3-year contract worth $60 million. Roughly $19 million of that structured as bonus money, according to Kelsey Conway of the Cincinnati Enquirer. He arrives fresh off a Super Bowl win, though his production dipped hard last year to 31 tackles and 2 sacks. In the secondary, Brian Cook signed for 3 years and $40.25 million, and he is a Cincinnati native who played his high school and college football in this city. Cook posted a career-high 85 tackles last season and ranked 6th among 98 qualified safeties in PFF pass coverage grade. Kyle Duggar came in on a 1-year deal after being traded from New England to Pittsburgh last October. That brings us to the draft, and this is where the roster math gets interesting. Cincinnati made 7 selections in April, and none of them came in the first round because the first round became Dexter Lawrence. So the class had to hit in the middle rounds, which is exactly where most teams stop hitting. Let me narrow this down, because 7 picks is a lot of names, and only 2 of them moved the 2026 season in any real way. They took edge rusher Cassius Howell at pick 41. Here is the case for him. Howell recorded 11.5 sacks and 14 tackles for loss in 13 starts at Texas A&M last season. He was voted Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year, earned first-team Associated Press All-America honors, and became the first Aggie with 11 or more sacks in a season since Myles Garrett in 2015. PFF ranked him 26th on its overall draft board and graded his final college season at 81.2 out of a possible 100. Cincinnati got that at pick 41. Now the case against. Howell is 23 years old and measured 6'3" and 253 pounds with arm length that scouts flagged as short for the position. He ran 4.59 seconds in the 40-yard dash at the combine, which is good and not elite. He did not start a full season until his 5th year of college. The rest of the class doubles down on traits over polish. Cornerback Tacario Davis went at pick 72 with 33.88-inch arms, and he allowed just 15 receptions all last season at Washington.
With the 72nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Tacario Davis.
Center Connor Lew landed at pick 128 while recovering from a torn ACL. Receiver Colby Young went at pick 140 and tackle Brian Parker II at pick 189. Step back from the transactions and look at who is already here, because that is what turns a spending spree into a contender. Myles Murphy earned a 72.0 PFF grade over the final 8 games of last season, the best stretch of his career, and he is 24 years old. The linebacker duo of Demetrius Knight Jr. and Barrett Carter was genuinely bad early and then climbed. Knight ranked 58th out of 58 qualifying linebackers in PFF grade through the first 9 weeks, then improved to 35th out of 55 from week 10 on. Zach Taylor was direct about that group this month. Asked whether this is the most talented defensive line he has coached in Cincinnati, he said yes, and he pointed specifically at the depth rather than the top of the roster. Asked about the rookie class, he said nobody is out of place, and that they all belong. He also refused to declare anyone a future star, noting the group had roughly 2.5 weeks of practice under its belt. That combination of confidence about the room and caution about the individuals is the most honest thing anyone in that building has said all summer. There is a caveat here that camp reports have soft-pedaled. Shamar Stewart, the 2025 first-round pick who was supposed to inherit snaps on the edge, went down with a knee injury on the very first day of training camp. He has been on the practice field since, wearing a sleeve on the leg, and the reporting has turned positive. Zach Taylor has also held Cassius Howell and Tacario Davis out of practice days this month, calling it day-to-day management rather than anything long-term. But a defense built on front 7 depth is only as good as the number of healthy bodies in that rotation, and Cincinnati has already spent one scare on it. So, where does this team actually sit? In the AFC North, Baltimore is the measuring stick, and Baltimore now employs the pass rusher who spent 5 seasons learning this offense from the other sideline in practice and in film rooms. He will line up across from Cincinnati twice a year, and he knows the protection calls. Pittsburgh and Cleveland are both live. Cincinnati is not the division favorite on paper, and any preview telling you otherwise is selling you a jersey. What Cincinnati is on paper is the team in this division with the widest range of outcomes. Here is the conditional stack, stated plainly. If Joe Burrow starts 16 or more games and the rebuilt defensive front finishes anywhere in the top half of the league, this is an 11-win team with a real path to the AFC Championship game. If Burrow starts 16 games and the defense lands middle of the pack, it is a 9 or 10-win wildcard team. If Burrow misses significant time again, none of the rest of it matters, because Cincinnati went 1-8 without him last year, and nothing about the backup quarterback room changes that ceiling, which makes the biggest variable obvious, and it is the one Cincinnati cannot buy. Paul Dehner Jr. of The Athletic called Burrow's health the quiet asterisk on every talented Bengals roster, and he is right. The turf toe surgery joined a torn ACL and a broken wrist on a list that keeps getting longer. Everything else here is now built correctly. The front is deep, the receivers are paid and locked in, and all 5 offensive line starters return. If you want to argue Cincinnati is ready to win a Super Bowl, the argument no longer breaks down at the roster. It breaks down at availability. Tell me in the comments where you land on that, and I will see you in the next one.